one of the biggest mistakes I think the US made was the seizing of the Russian private assets and then the seizing of the reserves, essentially making them worthless. Because that sent a signal to everybody that US money is not good.
In a recent interview, Raoul discusses the growing importance of Bitcoin as a stateless currency that operates outside of any single nation's control. He argues that Bitcoin offers an alternative to traditional currencies, particularly in light of geopolitical risks where savings could be seized. He believes the lack of regulatory clarity in the US has led to some negative outcomes, such as offshore token trading, and is holding back institutional adoption. However, Powell predicts that once regulatory clarity is established, larger institutions will return to the space and invest more heavily, particularly in areas like payments and asset tokenization. He also highlights the significance of the recent rise of Bitcoin ETFs, such as those from BlackRock and Fidelity, as a breakthrough in breaking down barriers for institutional investment. Make sure to watch this next clip where Powell explains how the ETF trend is a pivotal moment for the financial industry, making Bitcoin and blockchain technologies more accessible to mainstream investors. Also, if you enjoy listening to crypto-related content, please show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel by following the link in my bio. And get access to my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox. Each newsletter contains market intelligence, on-chain data and latest updates from experts in the crypto space. All of this is available completely free of charge. Signing up only takes a moment and you can always change your mind later on. Now back over to Raoul.
It certainly sends a signal that you don't have all of your savings in something that somebody could seize. And so, I think on the margin that's going to, encourage countries to think about saving in a stateless currency, right? Like that's what Bitcoin is a separation of money and state, right? So it's a currency, does everything other currencies do, but it's not controlled by any one nation.
So if we're looking at the US regulatory side, what are you expecting to change? Because I'm starting to think, how far do we move back towards some variation of ICOs, for example? Because it is a great vehicle for capital formation, needs tightening up. Things like the US users can't use perps and other margin products while everybody else can. Where do you see the regulatory landscape shifting over the next year or so?
Yeah, I actually don't spend a ton of time on the regulatory side since we can't really influence it ourselves. The main theme, though, is regulatory clarity, and that's been, I think, what's lacking, is that because of the lack of clarity, some things like trading of tokens went offshore to places like the Bahamas, and, we've had some negative consequences from that. So I think any clarity that the agencies in the United States could provide will be helpful. And I had served as chairman at Bitstamp for a long time, and it is difficult to manage a business when there's nothing written down. You have no idea what is a security, what's not a security. So as soon as there's more clarity on that, that will help. And then I think the bigger part is to help institutions get engaged in the space. In 2021 and 2022, a lot of very big institutions were doing a ton of work, going to get engaged. Some did some small investments in the space. And then, we had, Terra Luna and FTX and all these bad things happen. And with the lack of regulatory clarity, it kind of scared off a lot of institutions and they put it on ice. That's my biggest prediction, is that once we do have regulatory clarity, bigger institutions will come back to the space over the next, say, 2 years and really start investing in it in a real way.
I also think the finance sector will go all out for this as well, because they know how much efficiencies within this, whether it's in the payments or whether it's tokenizing equities and all other kind of financial assets for settlement, clearing, everything else. It feels like that is going to be, whether it's this cycle or next cycle, but that's going to be enormous when that happens.
No, I agree with you. And I think the ETF was huge in kind of breaking that log jam, where for years I'd be out there evangelizing for blockchain, and you talk in some firm and they would say, oh, well, we can't invest in Bitcoin for compliance reasons. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I've run a couple compliance departments and I have no idea what you mean. What do you actually mean by that? Like, why can't you do Bitcoin for compliance reasons? And then they just give the circular, well, for compliance reasons, And so now that BlackRock and all these very reputable firms have Bitcoin products out there, that just kills that. That was kind of the last, inane reason to say no, but it was a reason a lot of big entities said no. But now that you have, $35 billion flowed into branded ETFs, like BlackRock and Fidelity and Bitwise and others.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe for news and expert predictions direct to your inbox.